A small family-run tourist company in Tasmania sent tourists to Weldborough hot springs, described as a natural soakable geothermal pool. It would have been great if it had actually existed. So why is this happening? Why is AI lying to us? Hi, I'm Justine, the nerdy half. I am not in an AI-created environment. I'm at One Tree Point on the coastline. Behind me somewhere is Whangarei in Northland, New Zealand. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to prove that to you. Maybe AI wouldn't create those rather annoying cicada noises in the background and the lighting would be better. But in this video I am going to explain to you how AI is creating a lot of travel information that people are getting trapped into following when it's not 100% true. Now don't get me wrong, I know AI isn't lying. It's just a very convincing storyteller. But so am I. So today's story is part cautionary tale and part survival guide. Because we can all learn from the mistakes of Tasmania Tours, who, you'll be pleased to know, did take down that particular page immediately as soon as they found out. But of course by then it was too late. The official term for it is AI hallucinations, convincing, detailed and completely fictional information. It wasn't a scam, this was no deep fake, there was no intention in it whatsoever. Tasmania Tours is a legitimate company offering multi-day tours and treks. But to generate more business, they outsourced some of their content creation. Something that's hugely popular these days to cut costs and stay competitive online. They used AI to help them generate an 800-word glowing report on the Weldborough hot springs. The pub owner at the Weldborough hotel told reporters he still gets 10 calls a day from confused travellers looking for the hot springs. And some had driven for hours into off-grid zones and lost phone contact. And that's not a position I'd like to be in given the Australian wildlife. And this isn't an isolated case. Studies suggest that roughly 1/3 of travellers are now using AI to create their own itineraries. I've experienced this myself countless times.
Stop, no, it's not,
Yes.
that's not the reality.
No, it's all fenced off. Completely overgrown down there.
Number 3 is also a bust.
This is the scenic spot that Google Maps recommended.
There's nothing really to see, is there?
We also seem to be randomly walking through people's backyards.
Oh no!
Lucky for us, we can just laugh at it because we were never actually put in danger. Some people haven't been so lucky. Perhaps you've heard of the Umantai Lake Trek near Cusco. This is a real, well-documented trek that'll take you to a stunning glacial lake at around about 4,200 meters. You have to go with a local guide and you need to get used to the altitude. But lately, AI-generated travel guides have been directing people to the sacred canyon of Umantai, an ancient Incan site with waterfalls near the lake, which doesn't exist. It's just a mashup of the real Umantai lagoon and other general kind of descriptions of canyons. Locals have had to turn back hikers who were actively trying to seek it. And it's not just a waste of time, it's really dangerous. Wandering off-grid in the Andes risks altitude sickness and there are limited options for rescue. And similar things have happened elsewhere. There are hundreds of thousands of travel content creators out there. Vloggers, bloggers, just like me. Estimates put it between 150,000 and 400,000 travel-related content creators. AI told me that, I didn't count them. AI-generated travel guides have directed people to a haunted mansion in Tenerife that was on risky cliffs. And in Andalusia, some fake monuments sent people off into scrubland with no phone signal and no clear track back again. So why is this happening? Why is AI lying to us? Well, you know me, I have to make sure I get everybody's perspective. So I asked AI and it insists it does not lie. It cannot lie. And technically it's right. The definition of lying does require intent. And AI doesn't have any self-awareness, no beliefs, no intent. So it can't lie. So what happens when a human deliberately wants to use AI to create something harmful, to design a perfect lie? Well, the Kuak Skyride deepfake is a really good example of how well AI can create those lies for you. Someone used AI tools to fabricate a convincing video of a cable car town in Kuak, Malaysia. The video went viral. One elderly couple travelled 4 hours to go and see it. It wasn't there. It's a stark reminder that AI can be weaponized to create harm. Artificial intelligence is way more than the encyclopedias I used to pore over as a child. And it's way more than just a souped up search engine. But it isn't actually intelligent. It doesn't think, it predicts. AI told me to think of it as a pattern predicting story weaver. It's designed to answer whatever you ask it, and if those answers are incomplete, then it will fill in the gaps by statistically guessing the next word based on patterns across hundreds of millions of data pieces right across the internet. It's designed to fluently mimic helpful responses, and this means that when it's uncertain, it prioritizes fluency over accuracy. AI told me, and I quote, "Users expect complete replies, so the system keeps talking even when it shouldn't," end quote. Actually, I know some humans like that too. Facts and reality doesn't mean the same thing to AI as it does to us. It doesn't live in the real world. It learns from a chaotic mix of verifiable information, outdated information, marketing copy, myths, jokes, and outright fiction. And that's how you end up with something like the sacred canyons. It kind of just mixes all those common words found when you search for information on umantai. It gets things like sacred and Inca and sky and temple, and it puts them all together to create a story that sounds about right. AI wanted me to tell you that just because we're giving a warning doesn't mean that all AI-generated information is dangerous. It said, the human is the pilot feeling the wind, and AI is the dashboard beeping the patterns. Okay. I need to clarify here that not all AI systems are created equal. There's a big difference between whether you're using a free version or a premium version, and the different systems have different design mechanisms around verifiability, etc., etc. And of course, it relies a lot on how we use it, what questions we actually put in. Because AI's misinformation is actually only half the problem. AI doesn't really have to try very hard to trick us. Our brains do it for us. Our cognitive tendencies make us a soft mark. It's like if you've overused GPS, you start to lose your instinct, your intuition, your situational awareness. Firstly, there's the illusion of control. When we're using AI to plan, it gives us that sense that we have controlled things, we're prepared, we know where we're going, we've got the best routes, the best deals, but sometimes that really is just an illusion. And then of course there's FOMO, fear of missing out. That's kind of amplified when AI is giving you all these hidden gems and local insights. You want to believe it. That lure of finding something exclusive can override caution because it works with our confirmation bias. Our human brains are wired to believe things that we already think might be true or hope is true. If we've heard of these magical waterfalls and we want to be part of it, our brain's going to rationalize it to make it feel real. Social proof or the herding effect doesn't really help either. AI relies on what's popular on the internet, so that's how it aggregates its data, which is kind of how we work too. We just hear the stories around us and we tend to focus on the stories that we hear the most. But popularity doesn't really equal accuracy. Just because something's been said many times doesn't make it true. Our brain also has an initial information bias or anchoring. And this is where we take that initial first impression and we pretty much base everything around that. The first piece of information sets the tone. If that's full of glowing praise and impressive details, our brain is going to anchor in on that. And that makes it harder to spot the red flags later on. Understanding these cognitive biases is half the battle when it comes to interrogating AI to protect yourself, because you're going to have to protect yourself. The government isn't doing it for you. Currently, there seems to be a big regulation gap when it comes to AI-generated content, particularly travel information. In industries like food or medicine, you have to put specific warnings. But in travel information, there doesn't seem to be that kind of requirement. You don't need to specify that it's AI generated or that it might not be so accurate. And wherever humans operate, where there's no liability or accountability, this can be a bit of a legal minefield, dangerous for consumers. The good news is it is starting to change. In the EU, there are some AI transparency laws that are now in progress, and I'll keep you updated on those as they're phased in over the next few years. Their goal is to bring in required disclaimers like you might see around liquor bottles or medicine bottles. But here's the catch. They might be able to put regulations in place, but enforcing it is going to be really tricky. So I'm going to keep track of that, and I'll let you know in my weekly updates, so make sure you hit subscribe and the notifications bell. Because full disclosure, I do use AI. Now that I understand how it works, and I learnt this the hard way by making a lot of mistakes. But now I know how to use it, and more importantly, how not to use it. It does speed up some of my workflow processes. But what I don't do is rely on it for facts. But I will add a disclaimer to all my content. All factual claims have been cross-checked at the date of production, and examples using real locations have been verified through public reports. Yes, I did ask AI to proofread this script. It told me I needed to add more information about how AI has helped travellers. I didn't. But all up, if you're using AI at this stage of the game, you need to remember it's still better at the artificial than the intelligence. I've no idea what's going to happen next week. Whatever it is, I hope you'll be there to find out with me. Until then, happy travels, everyone.